Big Fisherman. Why? Well, there's a lot of whys. One is like, probably need to pause it for here. What's the English for als je A zegt, moet je ook B zeggen? I'm asking the peanut gallery.
Put up or shut up.
Put up or shut up. Okay, well, fair enough. Okay, it's not as nice as the Dutch one, but anyway. You know, it's kind of like I did the Robe, and I did the Demetrius and the Gladiators, and the third one is the Big Fisherman. So I watched all of them in a row, and then I was like, I just could not believe the quality and I mean negatively and various other things of the Big Fisherman. And then it's 3 hours, and yeah, it's long, and then I have to look up exactly how many minutes, but it's around that much. And I was just like, by the end, it's like, okay, yeah. So, fast forward spoiler, the last 45 minutes are actually quite good. The problem is, who's gonna sit through the first 2 hours, 15 minutes? That's really the thing. So this movie did not do well. It did excessively badly at the box office, and I don't think they expected it to. But the question is, why did they make it in the first place? Well, there's very, very many answers to that. One, The Robe was written by Lloyd C Douglas. He also wrote The Big Fisherman, and Lloyd C Douglas writes bestsellers, which have religious religious subject bestsellers. And with bestsellers is like when they commissioned The Robe, I think not commissioned, when they got the rights to the script. Somebody else got the rights to the script. By the time it got made, it was by somebody else. But there were 2 million copies of The Robe sold. You know this is a bestseller. You know people are gonna go to this movie. And then somebody else said, we need a scriptwriter. So Philip Dunn wrote the script and wrote the fan fiction sequel, Demetrius and the Gladiators. And then some time passed, and for some reason they decided to go with The Big Fisherman. Now, The Big Fisherman is another novel by Lloyd C Douglas. And technically it fits into the Robe cinematic universe, because you can say we have Peter as the apostle Peter. We have him in The Robe, in Demetrius and the Gladiators. Of course, in Demetrius and the Gladiators, he is purposefully put in there by fanfiction writer who got paid handsomely. I hope for him. Anyway, so a legit one. So yeah, we have Peter. But is that enough to say this is in the Robe cinematic universe? And I kind of want to say no, because there's nothing else that overlaps with the Robe, Demetrius and the Gladiators, that whole thing. There's nothing is in Rome. It's all somewhere else. It wasn't. I don't think the novel was intended to fit in the same universe. Yes, because Lloyd C Douglas wrote Bible-inspired stories, but not in like the Robe cinematic universe. So in a way, you can kind of like, but if you don't have 3 movies, you don't have a cinematic universe. 2 movies is just a movie and a sequel. So maybe that's the case. Nobody said it was a Robe cinematic universe except for me, because I found it. I was like, hey, it's a cinematic universe, and it made me very, very happy. So there's many other reasons to say why, and I'm probably going to tell a little bit more about the story of the film so that nobody else has to watch it than normal. The peanut gallery just fell off the chair. No, I am not going to do what my notes say I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about the actors, because Howard Keel, you cannot go wrong Howard Keel. We love him. He's awesome. So if it's not, if it doesn't grab me and it's Howard Keel, then it's the writing, I'm guessing. Either that or the directing. I don't know these people. So it was directed by Frank Borzage. Don't know. And of course, the Lloyd C Douglas is the novel writer, but you have Howard Estabrook and Roland V. Lee credited as writers. Not a clue. As far as I can tell, I read the first part of the novel. It follows that, so it's probably what the novel said they were going to do. And if you do make a film of a novel properly, it is going to take 3 hours, so that makes sense. So then I watched it again, and I was like, what didn't grab me the first time? Because I needed to figure out how to do a review about it. And the thing is, okay, so we may have the movie poster here. We probably are seeing Howard Keel as Peter, looking like stately and impressive and all of that. And then there might be like a woman's face somewhere and some, a lovers couple kissing maybe. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But the first 45 minutes? We don't see Peter. Of course, he's called Simon at that point still. We don't see him. He's not in there. So I'm going to a movie about Peter the Apostle, originally called Simon. Fine. That sounds great. And what do I get? I get Arabia. I get this beautiful young woman. I get some Arabian princes. Two of them. I mean, she might as well have two. and it gets better because the second time I watched it, I had a lot more fun because I wasn't expecting to see Peter, Simon, Peter. I knew what I was going to get in, and I was going, but I like the actress is awesome. We will talk about the actress, Susan Kohner as Princess Fara. All the names are so good. You have John Saxon as Prince Voldi, her love interest, and you have Ray Strickland as Darren, her not love interest, but he wants her, of course. Because, of course, she is like the most amazing woman, young woman, very young. Let's call her 17 or so, I don't know. And then thinking, oh, right, it's gonna be this standard triangle love. No! Her mom was originally married to, get this, Herod Antipas. And this is where life gets interesting. Herod Antipas is the Tetrarch of Judea at that point. I do have it in my notes, but of course I started at the wrong place, so I'm now mixed up where my notes are.
At this point in history, the kings of Judea are not Jewish anymore. This Tetrarch is a Roman construct put in place.
Yes, he works for the Romans. He is so in league with the Romans that there is this opulent scene where he and his Roman buddy, this is Herod Antipas, go have their carriers, because they're on this these benches that you lie on, you drape yourself over, and then people literally lift you up and start carrying you around town. And they order their carriers to do a race. I mean, this is perfect to show what absolute utter insane decadence is like. And then, of course, somebody, one of the losing party is going to tell off one of his slaves. I think he even kills him or something like that. I mean, literally, you're being shown this society has gone completely to the dogs. And it is the top dog that rules. So Herod Antipas is sold out to the Romans. He is ordered to marries this, our Princess Fara's mother. Well, we're gonna have to have it over here because I don't know the name. And then of course she has a baby, and then we have Princess Fara, right? Except that she's called Esther at that point because she wasn't Arabian at that point. No, she was Jewish, or like half and half. How did she get to be a half and half? Maybe the mother was Arabian. So the mother, see, it's complex. So there's lots of story there. Basically, she takes the kid to what is named as Arabia, whatever that is, wherever that's supposed to be. After Herod Antipas 2 times her with somebody else, some other woman, and they're being quite overt about it, so she just up sticks. So our heroine grows up in Arabia with horses and princes and and sand. So the mother is actually an Arab. I just checked. The mother's an Arabian princess, which is how Farah got to be half and half Arabian and Jewish. And her father is Herod Antipas, the Tetrarch of Galilee, not all of Judea. I suppose that would be a much bigger role. Oh, question from the
Does this
peanut.
movie have too much damn plot?
Yes! This is the thing. That's why I just got yes. It's got so much too much plot. And that's the thing is, the first time I was watching this, I didn't realize it was so rammed full of plot. And the second time, I knew what was coming, and I was realizing, wow, they're really pushing this plot through and through and through and through, because all of this is the first 10 minutes, and then she has to, the mother tells her who her actual father is because one of the princes wants to marry her, and that's not possible because she's not actually completely Arabian, and da-da-da-da-da, and there's all of that's in there. Yeah, we know that is not okay, but that is definitely part of the plot. And then the mother dies, of course, was already dying, but dies at the moment that she's just said, this is your actual father is Herod Antipas, and we have a blood feud with him, and everybody on this scroll has failed in killing him. So what does our very, very cool hero lady do is she cuts off her hair and puts on the trousers and other robes and boy clothes, and gets on a horse after literally stabbing herself with the knife that is supposed to be the one to kill Herod Antipas with, and paints her name in blood on that thing. I mean, yes. So awesome. So off she goes, and lots of adventures ensue, and she eventually meets John the Baptist, as one does. And John the Baptist is the first one that actually realizes that she is a she, which through that point I was just completely and utterly delighted by the gender flipping. This actress does it fantastically well. I mean, I actually, upon rewatching, it's very cool. But it's a kind of glee you get when you know a story and they're doing it quite well, and you're just like, oh, here it comes. If it's the first time around, I did not have that at all. yeah, and so John the Baptist sends her to Peter because really this is she got mugged and all her stuff got stolen, her money, her good clothes. But the thing is, she was wearing boy clothes from an Arabian princess house, and she's now in Judea. And that, people can see it. Literally, this she's like, no, you need like crap clothes. This is far too good. So she does a trade with another boy, good clothes for bad clothes, and then ends up under the boat in Peter's fishery thing. And Peter has problems. Simon has problems at that point. Howard Keel. That his John and James apparently work for him, and they are they're constantly going up this hill with like this preacher guy, not preacher, this
And they don't do any fishing.
Yeah, and they have this look on their face, and it just annoys him no end, and he's like, he has no patience for it. So he fires them on the spot, and then he's like, okay, boy, come over here. You're now hired. I liked his mother-in-law. That was very, very cool, very well done. He takes the boy home, takes the girl home, flings it at the mother-in-law. Apparently his wife had died or so, and there don't seem to be any kids, but whatever. And the mother-in-law, the delousing scene. Delousing? What would you like? I thought that was actually a rather important point in the movie. It's very short, but it's the 1940s or 50s idea of what back then, around 1st century, they would be doing if they needed to delouse somebody. And she gets very specific instructions of stand in the middle of the room and do not touch anything. Take everything off, but at that point they think he's a boy. Take everything off, hand it through the window, and I will burn your clothes. And I will hand you something else. Well, by the time clothes start coming out, because like the undergarments have to come out as well, the mother-in-law has figured out that this is not a boy. And then gives her daughter's clothes, and of course she looks absolutely stunningly gorgeous, because they're absolutely stunningly gorgeous clothing. And then starts to look for a job, and because she's well educated, she speaks 3 languages, 4 languages even, I think. I wrote them all down. Arabic, Aramaic, must be Hebrew, and Greek. It would be fun if I found where that... Oh yeah, here it is. Yeah, so she had a Greek governess. And so she applies at Herod Antipas's court as for a job, and they say, we need translations from the Greek because we have old scrolls that have prophecies and they're in Greek. So she sits there, and I liked that it's saying she is self-sufficient. She's making her own money. Hello. So that by itself, we're talking 1959 for this film, and there were a lot of films that did not have that kind of powerful female protagonist in it. And so far, this movie has literally been about her. Then it launches into Simon Peter, so it has 3 hours, so you have time to follow multiple characters. But... so like I said to start with, Howard Keel cannot save this part. It's not just that they didn't give him the chance for the first 40 minutes. It's that when he's there, he has to be this guy who's just concerned with fishing, doesn't believe that God takes care of anybody who doesn't take care of themselves, kind of thing. And he's just completely... he is... a little on the simple side, and there's no reason for him to be simple. And so when he ends up going everybody by that time is going to Jesus's sermons, and so eventually he ends up going as well, kind of like, gotta check this thing out because everybody's going on and on about it. And then this woman has a baby and says, can you please bring this baby to Jesus? The baby is blind. And he does, and then he's up close and personal with Jesus, and of course, baby can see. How you can tell that a baby can see that? I thought that was a little. If that made it a toddler, would have been better. But I suppose whatever it said is what it said. But then Jesus touches his shoulder. He looks into Jesus' eyes, and here's where the movie loses everybody, the entire audience. Jesus is off screen. This is 1959, and in 1962 they made King of Kings, and that was the first time that American films put Jesus completely on screen, told his story, blah 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 blah, and there was this whole search for the actor to play him. It was Jeffrey Hunter. The film is still on my list to watch. I've never actually seen it. So, we'll see. So I can't comment on that film at all. But the massive importance is we get to see Jesus. In the Robe, you had a little bit of like the Easter, they're coming into Jerusalem and he's in the distance on a donkey and you kind of see him in the distance. He passes by when Demetrius looks up at him, and you can do that because it's all off 15 seconds. But this movie has a Sermon on the Mount, the complete sermon. They have Jesus asking Simon, John, James, and was it Andrew? Another one, 4 of them at the same time as, can you please come and be my disciples or apostles? And it's all off screen and it doesn't work. Nobody can save this. Howard Keel cannot save this movie. Nobody can save it. This is just not doable. So I think I feel very bad for Howard Keel, quite frankly, and for Susan Kohner. Because they do such an awesome job. It is a good movie. It's certainly in the style of what they were doing. Then they did it with lots of gusto, lots of aplomb, and the costumes are gorgeous. That's another thing about this movie. It's not out on DVD. It's not out on Blu-ray. Probably because it failed way back when. But it's on YouTube. And the film was filmed in Panavision, which is 70 millimeters. It's even wider than CinemaScope that the Robe was in. They were trying to be innovative again. And on YouTube, unfortunately, only the beginning credits are like that, and the rest is boxed, like 3x4, 4x3. So all television style. And it's not filmed to compensate for that, because by 59, widescreen was widescreen. People were expecting widescreen. They were not expecting it to go on television ever. So yeah. Spoiler: she does not kill her at Antipas, because killing is bad. So pivotal point for her is that she also listens to Jesus, and is not necessarily a disciple, but she's not anti. But she thinks about the blood oath that she took to avenge her mom, and she is eventually in the position to attack Herod Antipas, because she's in his library most of the time, and he wanders in and out, and he has conversations with her, and then she wants to do it, and then realizes she keeps hearing, effectively, thou shalt not kill. I do think that it also underlines her agency, that she gets to make that decision, and she does make that decision. This woman, she rocks. Seriously oomphy stuff going on there. Even to the point where the prince that she does want comes to find her. And then when she wants to go with him, and they want to go back to Arabia. Simon Peter, by this time, he's called Simon Peter because he's been, dual named by Jesus. And he takes her with the boat to Arabia. Again, I'm asking, where is it? Because that's very vague. I need a map now. But they don't provide one, so never mind. When they get there, there's some demonstration of Peter's strength and power. By that time, he is a full apostle, and he has powers. The prince that wanted to marry her and that she didn't want, he had been stricken by some type of disease, maybe polio, and couldn't walk for whatever reason. And suddenly, that part, I'm guessing it's probably in the book. Or maybe it's so haphazard that it's not in the book and they tried to make it bigger than it was in the book. I don't know. But so I didn't read that part. And come in, and then he asks Peter for, please, can you make me walk? Well, only if you have faith. They'd make a big deal out of that. And real demonstration of faith, and then Peter shows his power, and he does have the powers. So the man can walk, and literally turns around after Peter's left and says, "So now we kill everybody." So not everybody who converts in this film actually is serious about it. So again, there are good bits about that because there is variety in this movie, and yeah, that gets punished, seriously punished. God cannot be trifled with in this movie. So, and then, but because he dies because of having done this, that means the prince that she is in love with, Prince Voldi, is now the next one to become king. But he cannot marry a half-blood Arabian / Jewish girl. So rather than he was going to do it anyway, and rather than having him do that, she goes with Peter back to Judea. And again, agency. She decides to do it. That I disagree with her decision, that's my problem. But she decides it. And that's where the movie ends. And then it's like, okay, so what does this have to do with the Robe? With Demetrius and the Gladiators? Nothing. There were some Romans in there. It is set in the same time. But, what do you need in order for a cinematic universe to actually be fitting in each other?
Is it the matter of the format? Of first showing how rotten the Romans are, and then having somebody to make decisions about that, and then going with God, basically.
Yes, very much the same theme. Yes, the decadence of the Romans, the Roman rule itself. It's in all three the movies. That is the big bad. Is how society is. So in that sense, yeah, it is still that same cinematic universe. Yeah, you lose it because you don't have the same actor for Peter in the first two films, but then again, you didn't have Howard Keel in the first two films. So what you gonna do,
The guy that was in the Robe, because I remember Peter from
Michael
the Robe,
Rennie, yeah,
was very good also.
He's very good. Yes, he's got a fairly small part in the other two movies, but he's always named as and him. But I think because they could get Howard Keel. Now the other problem with this movie was Howard Keel was a singer, and the media raked the movie over the coals that they made him the main character, which clearly, from what I've just told you, he is not the main character. She is the main character. And they make him the main character in this big epic drama, and there is no singing. All of the media was so down about that. That it's like this could never have worked.
I don't disagree, because I think indeed the best quality of Howard Keel is also that singing voice.
No.
It's not his only reason for existing, but it makes him from pretty good to really, really good.
Yeah. And this script and the having to act in awe of Jesus, where you don't actually see Jesus, extensively. Also, literally, he has to do a scene where he is talking to God. That is not easy. I mean, he has to talk to himself because he really doesn't have anybody else to talk to. It's kind of like he's not a natural prayer person. So he stands there and talks to God for like 2.5 minutes or something like that. That's
not easy.
No. If that was a song, yes. That absolutely, that would work. But not, people don't stand there in the middle of the night just talking to the sky. I just don't see how anybody could have saved this movie. And it's not the actor's fault. No. And there's a romance. And it's epic. And there is bromance.
But the romance is not the title characters.
No.
And
why is there a romance?
But the other question I have with the title, The Big Fisherman, yes, it refers to Peter, but it also refers to Jesus, and so it refers to the two people that this movie is really not about.
It's almost not about. Yes, we have made 1/3 of the movie is Peter, Simon Peter, and it's
none
this,
of it's about Jesus.
No, and that's a mistake. They should, if you're gonna put Jesus in, and they looks like they realized that, because 3 years later they put Jesus in, and I've not heard much about the King of Kings, but that must have been quite a happening. So from Howard Keel, let's talk about Susan Kohner, who plays Esther, also Princess Fara. Esther is her Jewish name, original name that she was when she was born, and she goes back to that name when she goes in. But so the actress is she also was in Imitation of Life, which is a Douglas Sirk movie with Lana Turner. It's also 1959, same year. In that movie, she plays a black person who can pass for white. It's a very interesting movie that I watched twice and would love to do a review on. Got a thumbs up from the Peanut Gallery, because there's a huge amount to say, and I love Douglas Sirk movies. He is so thoughtful, and so she also was runner-up for playing Anne Frank in the Anne Frank movie in 1959 again. So, busy year for her. She missed out on doing that one. I think she could have done it quite well. I don't know how successful that movie was, but certainly better than The Big Fisherman, so she would have been better off with that. But I know this was a more fun movie to do. Her mother, yeah, I am going there. Her mother was a Mexican actress, and is worth mentioning for two things. One, she was, in the day and age, she was an actress in both Mexico and in Hollywood. So, hey, go mom. And she lived to a whopping 106 years old.
Go mom.
I mean, hello. So, Susan Kohner is still alive.
Go, Susan.
So, if you're watching this, you did a great job in this film. Very, very cool. Susan Kohner's father is a Czech Jewish Hollywood producer. That makes Susan part Mexican, part Jewish, Czech Jewish, which makes her the perfect actress to play Princess Fara, who is part Jewish and part Arabian. So, I just wanted to say that even by our current day standards, that would have been appropriate casting. And, I would have liked to have seen her in more stuff, but certainly Imitation of Life is one. You watch it, you never forget. Continued on the life of Susan Kohner, she has 2 sons, at least. I don't know if she has any other. Paul Weitz and Chris Weitz. Now, why am I mentioning this? Because Paul Weitz is known for About a Boy. Various other things like Mozart in the Jungle, Chris Weitz is Paul is a director, writer, producer, and Chris is a filmmaker, producer, screenwriter. Has done Ants, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, American Pie, About a Boy, The Twilight Saga, New Moon, The Nutty Professor 3, etc., etc., and The Gold Compass, etc., etc. So, let's just be clear. Susan Kohner has definitely made her mark on the world of entertainment. So, and he's still alive, so go Susan. Totally awesome. Quite frankly, why was this not the Princess Fara story? Why is it the Big Fisherman story? It's barely the Big Fisherman story. I mean, the Robe is literally about the Robe.
Demetrius and the Gladiators.
Is literally Demetrius and the Gladiators. So
Fara and...
If this film had been advertised as for what it is, namely a very kick-ass story about this young woman who has these huge adventures and a love story, but not like a love story where, getting the guy is the be-all and end-all of it. It's not a Cinderella story by no means at all. And with biblical connection, great, that would have worked. You got the Arabia, you got the Judea, you got the Romans, you got all the costumes and the drama and the chases and, well, a few chases and some boats.
We like boats.
And some miracles. I mean, what's not to love? But it wasn't. It was advertised as the Big Fisherman. So, this is what's wrong with the movie. It's not Peter's story of becoming an apostle. It's in there, but it's not his story. What is good about the movie is Princess Fara, obviously, and she is a princess, so I was like, I got that whole Disney vibe going with Princess. Oh yeah, Disney actually produced this. No, I'm not kidding.
So she is a Disney princess.
She's a Disney Princess Fara is a Disney princess. Yes. According to Wikipedia, Disney does not do religious dramas. I'll buy that. But one of the sons of Disney really wanted to do this and, pushed it on through. I don't know. It wasn't successful, but then again, a lot of Disney films that were live action at that time were not successful. So, does that mean anything? I don't know. I don't think that the production was any less because of that. It wasn't as pretty as the Robe and the Demetrius and the Gladiators, but there's a completely different company.
Is it because you saw it in the television format and not as intended? Is that costing it?
it is costing it, because when you really want to look at it properly, the costumes are gorgeous. Yes, we are looking at the late 50s, and so the women's costumes have that they kind of want to put that tight
pencil skirt thing in.
Yeah, the belt around, and then a little bit too tight around the chest and stuff. That is not what the Romans were wearing. But other than that, it's very classy, and especially Herod Antipas. He has loads of big bobos over at his place, and the women as well, and everybody's wearing is absolutely drop dead gorgeous. And of course in the Arabian stuff is more like tent stuff, so you don't get like a castle or anything like that. But what everybody's wearing is again drop dead gorgeous. But you're missing the nice colors, and you're missing the sharpness, and you're missing the widescreen, and so
and it is all there in the original.
It is there. You really need a good transfer from an original film, like the original, yeah.
The original print, yes.
Yes. So I did think actually that the religious stuff was put in well. Apart from what I've already said, no off-screen bullshit, that doesn't work. There was a little bit of a commentary by people that the way to show awe and being finding Jesus, or however the terminology is that it was there's very much this. Just look up and be in awe and constantly do that, and that's stop that. That's do it for a moment and move on. But I think they were figuring out that they were again transitional period. It just wasn't working. They did it once in the Robe, where Demetrius sees Jesus, and that's enough. You can't base a whole or a third of a movie on it. So there are, however, reasons why this movie will never be watched by anybody again. Other than that, it's really not. You can't find it other than press on YouTube. Of course, you can find it because it's on YouTube, so it's easy enough. But it's not pretty on YouTube. So I want a pretty version. Thank you, please. I thought for the first time that I watched it that they were using brown face on Susan Kohner in the first scene, but not in the rest of the movie, and I'm now not sure. It could have been the lighting. So if it is brown face, then obviously that is no longer acceptable, but it may not have been, so I don't know. The movie's too long, that's certainly true. Cut at least half of Simon Peter's stuff out of it.
And change the title.
Well, that's it. Title. That's yeah. Yes.
You've told us not to watch it, but would you?
No, I didn't say not to watch it. I said it's not likely people are gonna watch this movie.
Would you watch it again?
Yeah, I'd watch it again, especially if I get a good quality one. Otherwise, I've now seen it twice, pretty close together. But I would love to see the pretty. I know the pretty's there, and I want to see it. And it's Disney did make pretty stuff. It still makes pretty stuff. So apart from that, I can tell that all the costuming is gorgeous. It's like you clean that thing up, it's gonna be probably stunningly gorgeous. Yeah. And it's not boring. It's just, put on the tin what's in the tin. That is really one of the most problematical things with this film. Yeah. So, that was my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.